evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Wilderness Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rob Minturn, owner and founder of the Wilderness Fitness Institute. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a great week. Hopefully you guys are having some solid plans made for your Mother's Day. And if you're making it up as you go, cheers to that, because that's typically what I do. But tonight we're going to be talking about preserving muscle mass as you age, some factors and why this is important, even if you're not someone that's looking to have a bodybuilding physique in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. This is going to be a good one for you guys. So let's see. All right, so three main factors. Age is going to be the biggest factor as far as your ability to preserve muscle mass. After about the age of 30, we start to lose, or our hormones start to change, and not necessarily in the favor of growing muscle. For men, our testosterone starts to drop, usually about 1% per year. For women, there starts to be a shift in the estrogen and progesterone. After about the age of 30, that starts to lead into the perimenopause and into the menopause stage in the late 30s, mid 40s, and low 50s. So that all starts to happen after about the age of 30. So with these hormone shifts, our muscle mass does start to change and reduce by about 1 to 2% per year. With that, there are two main factors that are going to be able to allow you to preserve your muscle mass, and also not just preserve, but also improve your muscle mass, your muscle mass as you age. It's still possible to do that even into your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And your body composition, that's what I was looking for, was your body composition. So your diet is going to be huge in terms of what your protein intake is and what your carbohydrate intake is in terms of preserving that muscle mass and allowing that muscle to actually grow. For protein, the role of protein is it is the building block of muscle, right? So if you're not getting adequate protein in your diet, you're not giving your body the proper building blocks to recover the muscle while you sleep. I'm not even including sleep on this podcast tonight, but sleep is super important as far as your recovery. That's the only time that your body truly recovers. But while you're recovering, while you sleep, if you're not giving your body the proper building blocks to do so, it's going to be very hard for the body to do that. It's like a construction crew or any sort of crew that's going in to build a house, build a road, anything. If you're not going in with the proper material, it's going to be very hard to get the job done. So you've got to make sure that you're getting adequate protein in your diet. If you have to take supplements, that's fine, but ideally you're getting it from your meat sources. You want to make sure that you're hitting your adequate protein goals so that way your body has the proper building blocks to do so. Carbohydrates, their role is they're the jet fuel for the body, especially during exercise, but they also allow the body to preserve the protein and preserve the muscle mass. So if you're low on carbohydrates, your body's going to have to use the protein that's ingested for fuel. It's not the ideal scenario. Same thing if you're in a calorie deficit, like say you're trying to lose weight, and you're losing weight very quickly. Usually more than 1 to 2 pounds per week, you're likely losing muscle mass because your body is going to be taking from the muscle that's on the skeletal system. Your body is going to be drawing from that to keep the body functioning. So you want to make sure that your carbohydrate intake is adequate to allow your body to not have to draw from the protein, the ingested protein, as well as the muscle mass for fuel. All right. As far as amounts go, so protein, you're looking at it's 0.7 to 0.9 is the ideal range. I usually give folks a number of 0.8. That way, if they're a little bit higher in the scale, that's totally fine. If they're a little bit lower, they're still hitting their protein mark. For carbohydrates, you're looking at, I want to say it's 45 to 60% of or 45 to 55%, sorry, of your overall intake, caloric intake. So you do want a good amount of carbohydrates. You're going to feel a little swollen if you're not used to eating that many carbs. You're going to feel a little puffy, but that's all right. You're also going to see the scale fluctuate a lot more because carbohydrates are going to hold onto the water. Water is going to follow the carb. So don't necessarily freak out if you see massive fluctuations of 4, 5, 6 pounds day to day with your different dietary intake of carbs. Okay. The last thing that is going to be a major factor in terms of preserving muscle mass is going to be lifting weights. So, and this is the hardest thing for people to do, because you have to make the conscious effort to go out and lift weights, right? You don't have to make the conscious effort to eat. You're naturally going to do that. It's more of a choice of, are you going to eat the right things? Are you going to feel your body the right way? In age, obviously, you can't do anything about your age. We haven't figured that out yet. Maybe Elon Musk might figure that out. I'm sorry if that's triggering for anybody, but lifting weights is one, the toughest thing to do, but it's also going to be the most beneficial for you to be doing. Okay, and a lot of times in the clinic, I'll get folks that tell me that they just want to lift light weights, a lot of reps, body weight movements. They don't really want to lift heavy. They're not like looking to bulk up. They're just trying to stay lean and trying to stay healthy. That's all fine and dandy, but there's a ton of research showing the benefits to bone health, to ligament health, to muscle mass improvements, and body composition with lifting heavy weights. And when I say heavy, I'm talking greater than 85% of your 1 rep max. Okay, so you're looking at reps of 5 or fewer. Not that you have to do that all the time, but it's super beneficial for the body to be placed under a load like that. Now, folks who are doing like elk shape training, they're doing mountain tough, maybe mayhem hunt stuff, any sort of like high intensity interval training, or any sort of fast-paced, like you're going from one exercise to the other, that is good. That is okay to do. But again, that type of training, you're not going to be able to lift as much weight at a set of 5 had you compared to a set where you would have taken a 3 to 5 minute break. Okay, so if you're doing 5 rounds of 5, but you have 5 exercises in that, you're going to be much more fatigued when you get to that heavy set again. Whereas if you're doing like deadlifts, say for example, and deadlift is the only exercise that you're doing for your first exercise, and you're taking a 3 to 5 minute break in between your sets of 5, that weight is going to look very different. So it's going to stress the body in a different fashion. So I err more on the side of the traditional weightlifting. You might pair 3 exercises together for the sake of time. But you need to make sure that you are lifting the heavier weights, again, to stimulate good bone density, proper muscle mass, and it's great for ligaments and tendons and all that. All right. So why is this important, right? We talk about I just got done talking about the 3 main factors with age, diet, and lifting weights. But why is this important? So I'll talk about function, and this is definitely going to come from the scope of a physical therapist, because that's what I do for 40 hours a week. You don't want to, and this is getting to the point where someone is not doing well functionally at all, but you don't want your 1 rep max to be getting out of a chair, right? So what I mean by that is when you stand up from an armchair, can you use, or do you have to use your arms to get up? Well, I see it in the clinic all the time. Folks come in, they have some sort of rotator cuff repair or some sort of shoulder surgery, arm surgery, hand surgery, whatever it is, and they have a hard time getting up from a chair simply because they cannot use both hands to propel themselves up from the chair. That is a problem, right? So if you're 1 rep max living, and every time that you get out of a chair, it's like lifting a 1 rep max for you, that is not good. Again, that's a very extreme example, but that's typically what I see in the clinic. When you, obviously age you can't do anything about, but if you have a proper diet and you're consistently lifting weights, again, you don't have to go every single day. I'll touch on that in a second. But if you're consistently lifting weights, you're not ever going to get to the point where your legs cannot get you out of a chair. It's not a good spot to be. Another reason why it's important to preserve your muscle mass as you grow older, it's for your metabolism, right? So fat mass, there's no metabolic need from fat, from adipose tissue. There's not a blood supply there. It's literally just dead weight. Whereas muscle, there's that directly dictates your metabolism. So if you have more muscle mass, you're going to burn more calories at rest. If you burn more calories at rest, you're not going to have, or you can eat more calories. Therefore, you're going to have a lesser of a chance of putting on a ton of weight as you get older, right? People talk about after you hit 30, it's all downhill from there. That's typically because they're not lifting weights, they're not maintaining their muscle mass. So that way their metabolism is slowing down simply because of the fact that they're muscle mass is getting less because they're not doing anything about it. But if you're lifting weights, you can still lose weight after the age of 40. I heard a patient today talk about losing weight after the age of 40 is impossible. It's not impossible. It's just a little more difficult because of the fact that the hormone change does make it a little more difficult, and your muscle mass is not what it used to be in your 20s and 30s. So you just have to be more conscious about what you eat and start lifting weights. In conclusion, preserving muscle mass is the fountain of youth and the source of truly having a solid set of golden years. It doesn't take much. Lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week with a total body split is all it really takes. After the age of 30, you're either going to grow or you're going to waste away. The choice is yours. You got to choose one. Have a good night, guys. We'll catch you next week.